So without further ado, we are so thrilled today to have one of our favorite people joining us, Ms. Kelly Daly. She is with Allstate, and she has been involved with JA and as a mentor and speaker for our Women's Future Leadership Forum for several years. And she is just such a great, experienced person in this topic that we're talking about today. So we're very, very glad to have her. I'll leave the introductions to her. So without further ado, everybody, please welcome our friend, JA board member, Kelly Daly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with everybody, although it is a little bit different than what I am used to. Normally, I am standing in front of a room of young women, and I can make eye contact, and I can smile at people, and I can receive smiles back. So this is a little bit different, but it's the world that we're living in. So I have been working remotely for a number of months. So I'm finally used to looking into the camera and speaking to nobody, but a whole room full of people on the other side of the camera. So let me take just a moment to introduce myself, and then I am going to talk about networking. So my name is Kelly Daly. I will celebrate 30 years with Allstate in 2 days. For the last 15 years, I've been in the sales organization, and I have worked with opening up agencies. I've worked with training people. I've worked with recruiting people. I've worked in a lot of different departments in my company, and I've moved several times across the United States and ended up here in New Jersey. And I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes because networking and getting to know people is a really important part of your career, and it's a really important part of your career when you have to start over, when you have to move someplace. So Allstate has given me the chance to do a lot of different things, explore a lot of different interests. And so 30 years sounds like a really long time to you. I remember when I was in your shoes and I was 15 or 16 or 17 maybe, the concept of 30 years, even being 30 years old, is hard to grasp. And the concept of being in the same job for 30 years is probably not even in the realm of possible. But I was in that situation one time too. And, you know, as you're thinking about what you want to do and starting out, figuring out your path, there are some things that you'll learn along the way that I hope that you'll carry with you. And networking is really one of those things. So before I jump into networking, I'll just kind of round it out, tell you a little bit about my family. I'm married. I have 3 daughters. They are all grown up. 2 of them have children, so I have 4 grandchildren. And then I have a big, large extended family all over the country, and I'm keeping in touch with them through Zoom and other opportunities lately. So that kind of gives you a background of who's speaking today. So let's talk a little bit about networking. What does that term mean? It is just simply a process of connecting with other people. It's a process of building relationships. And that network can be anyone. It can be friends, it can be classmates, it can be people from an organization that you belong to, like a volunteer group or a church or a synagogue. Eventually, it can be your coworkers. A network is just a group of people that you feel comfortable and confident sharing information and talking to them and learning from them. A network can do a lot of different things for you. They can give you advice. They can be a contact for you if you need to find out some information. They can help you make career decisions, or they can be just a person to bounce information off of. How does this sound? How does this look? What do you think about this? And when you first start out in the networking world, you will be wanting something from the network. You will be wanting to be introduced to people or to be given guidance. But the really interesting thing is, as that network builds, you eventually become the person who has the opportunity to network with others, to reach out your hand, to help other people come into a network and learn and be introduced to people who have things in common with them or who can help them. And this is a skill that you will use all of your life. It's not just about right now as you're thinking about your career path or you're thinking about what comes next for you, whether it's a job or whether it's college. It's a skill you'll use all your life, but it's not always easy to do. So we'll talk a little bit today about some tips, but I wanted to tell you a few statistics about networking. Based on research, approximately 60% of people find their jobs through networking. And a lot of those jobs may never even be posted out on job sites like Indeed or LinkedIn. A lot of times, companies are looking for people to join their organization who already know someone in their organization. So having a network is great because people can tell you things that are out there that you might not be able to find yourself, and they can also advocate for you or recommend you to their employer or to the group that you want to get into. And I can tell you that my notes say that research says women are more confident and more successful in their careers when they have a good network of strong, solid women. But I don't need research to tell me that. I know that because I am networked with a lot of really strong, amazing, tremendously helpful women in my organization and outside my organization. And they stand next to me side by side for so many things, whether it's a personal issue I'm having, whether it's, needing somebody to go down the journey with me of exercising, which I hate and I start and stop all the time, and I need somebody there cheering me on, or whether it's a change in my career. And I'll talk a little bit about a change in my career where I really needed somebody to be that person for me and help me. But networking in general with men and women, very important. But women see the world differently. There's no doubt about that. Not better, not worse, not wrong, not right. They just see the world differently. And therefore, sometimes having a good network of strong women will help you to be able to overcome some of the obstacles that women have in common, that we face as women. And so I would say developing that women's network is really important for you. So like I said, it can be intimidating. It can be overwhelming, but I want to encourage you not to shy away from it. I want to encourage you to push yourself just a little bit, test your skills just a little bit. You don't have to jump into it wholeheartedly, but if you start small, you'll become more and more confident and you'll be able to do it more and more often. So tell me in the chat feature some qualities that you think would be a good networker. So if you have a minute and you think, I think a good networker would be this quality, what would you put into the chat? So I'll give it a minute for people to put some things in the chat. And while you're thinking and getting ready to participate, I'll just also talk about where networking happens. Networking can happen anywhere. It can happen at work, at school. It can happen at a fun event that you're going to, like a party or a social event, a college visit. Networking can happen anywhere. So just be open to it and be looking for those opportunities. And it'll give you a chance to meet somebody new and a chance to form a bond with. So there are a couple things coming in from the chat. I see communication skills. That's a great one. Communication skills are absolutely a critical part of networking. I see friendly or good at communicating, definitely. A good networker would be a positive talker. That is a great example. Positivity will really help you in your networking. Somebody else says, I think a good networker is approachable and willing to compromise. Definitely approachable will help you network. Confidence and open-mindedness, absolutely. Teamwork and social skills, yep. And then a good networker should have great communication skills and a positive attitude, open to new ideas. Well, thank you so much for participating. I love hearing your thoughts. I love hearing the ideas that you have. And so as we talk about tips for networking, you'll hear some of these things come in again. So gosh, we have a couple more. So I want to read them. Optimistic, great leadership, willing and open to making new connections. Wonderfully stated. And then somebody else says, I think a good networker would be collaborative, a good listener, have a positive attitude, and be approachable. You guys are nailing this. You really have a good idea of some networking skills. So thank you again for your input. And let's just talk about some of those things of getting ready to do networking and how do I approach it. So I told you I'm with Allstate for 30 years, and I still get nervous. I still go into situations where I'm a little bit nervous. I feel a little out of my league. And I'll tell you, my company just went through a huge reorganization. And I was in a job that I really loved, and I was doing really well, and the job was eliminated. So I found out this summer my job was being eliminated, and I had to find a new job within the company. They didn't give me a new job. I had to find one. So I started interviewing and posting for different jobs, and I called everyone in my network. I tapped into everyone. Tell me about jobs you know about. Tell me about who's hiring. Tell me about the person I'm going to interview with. Give me some inside scoop. Will you be an advocate for me? Will you call the person who's hiring? And will you say to them, Kelly is a tremendous worker. She knows how to do all these things. She's a team player. All of these things you listed. She's collaborative. She's got great leadership qualities. She is approachable and a positive attitude. Can you help me to present my best self for this opportunity? So that was a time when I really needed my network. And in the end, at the end of October, I did get a new position. And it's a really fun position. I'm just getting to know my new job, but I really like it. And if I hadn't had my network, I don't know if I would have actually been able to find that role and get in that role, because a lot of people were displaced and a lot of people are out there looking for a job. So networking is one of those super important things. All right, so how do I, if I'm committed to the fact that I'm going to network, but I'm a little bit nervous about it, what are some things that I can do to get myself ready to do some networking? So the first thing I would say is sometimes people say, fake it till you make it. And what that means is put yourself in a frame of mind that you are going to do this. So posture helps you, right? Stand up tall, stand up straight. Doesn't matter if you think you're too tall or if you think you're too short and nobody will see you, just stand up straight, look nice, wear something that you're comfortable in and that you know is appropriate. You know, just sometimes that favorite sweater or that favorite pair of pants and top that you really know you look good in, that can help you have that confidence walking into a room or putting your hand out and shaking someone's hand. Maybe not during COVID, maybe we're elbow bumping, but it can give you the confidence. I'm comfortable, I know I look good, I can go into this situation and I can start introducing myself to people. When you, the power posture, not only being up straight, but I've also heard people talk about the Superman pose, where you stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, you put your hands on your hips, like Superman, you know, when his cape is flowing in the wind, and just take some deep breaths. And believe it or not, there's a physiology to that. It opens you up to oxygen, and it opens up your being to kind of just that energizing stance. And so it puts you in a good place. Another tip that I love to use is I have what I call pump me up songs. Pump me up songs. So I have a playlist of some of my favorite songs that will get me in a go out and take the world by the tail and just make it happen mood. So I'll give you some examples of my songs. Now, I know that everybody likes different types of music, and your songs may not be my songs and vice versa, but these are some of the things on my playlist. Number one, I love Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys. I sing that song at the top of my lungs before I go into a situation I'm nervous about. Number 2, Carrie Underwood, Champion. Great song, love it. Use that on my playlist as well. Katy Perry, Roar. That's another one I can sing at the top of my lungs. And I'll tell you 2 more. Beyonce, Run the World. Love that song too. And then here's a really old one, but it's never going to go out of style. Aretha Franklin, Respect. Those are songs that I can just sing, and in the end of singing 2 or 3 of them, I feel an energy from my head to my toes, and I'm ready to go and meet people. And I love getting to know people, but it doesn't always come naturally to me. So sometimes I have to work at it a little bit harder. So somebody in the chat said all of those songs are really empowering, and I find that too. And then I see somebody else in the chat say, what if you're still shy and nervous, even with your network? Even though the people say positive things, how can you turn a negative to a positive? So I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that question. So you get into a situation and you're ready to meet people, and you're feeling good, and you've either played that power song in your own ear, or you sang it in the car, or you sang it on the way to where you're going. Then you get there, and now it's the time. It's the time to meet new people. So you are feeling a little shy. You are feeling a little nervous. A couple of things to help you. Number 1, have a way of what are you going to say? Like when you put your hand out, what is it that you're going to say? And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, something called an elevator pitch. But knowing what you're going to do when you get there is part of the process, right? So conversation starter. You can hope, fingers crossed, that someone comes up to you and starts a conversation. And maybe that will happen, right? Maybe there will be people there who were in your shoes at one time who are nervous, and they'll start the conversation with you. But if they don't, then you'll have to be the one to start the conversation. So you can go up to people and you can just put your hand out and say, hi, my name is Kelly. What brings you here today? Or, hello, my name is Kelly. Have you been to one of these events before? You can say, do you mind if I join you? I'm trying to grow my network, and introduce yourself to someone. Couple other tips. A compliment is always a nice way to open up a conversation. So, hi, my name is Kelly. I noticed that your sweater is very pretty. I thought I would compliment you on it. Or, your shoes are beautiful. I just wanted to say how nice they are. Any type of compliment, right? Your hair looks gorgeous. How long did that take to do? Anything like that will open up a conversation, and people will warm up because everyone loves compliments, right? Now, if somebody gives you a compliment, say thank you, right? Say thank you and answer their question, right? This is where I get my hair done, or this is where I bought my sweater. It's just a great opportunity to start a conversation. And I will tell you this, asking questions is a great way to keep a conversation going. So we all worry about, what am I going to say? What is the right thing to say? And you don't have to worry about that. Instead, listen to what people are saying and form another question. Ask them a little bit more about what they've just said, right? What made you decide that? How did you get into this career? What made you decide to go to school at such and such place? Questions are a great way to continue the conversation without having to worry about what you're going to say. If you're networking professionally, feel free to ask people questions about their career. What type of schooling did you need to do? How did you get into this program? How young were you when you knew this was what you wanted to do? All of those things are great ways to begin a conversation. And then earlier somebody said listening is important. Listening is so important. People like to talk about themselves. So if you listen and you hear what they're saying, you can formulate another question and you can learn more things, and people will connect with you when they know you are listening. So those are some really great tips about getting yourself in the mind frame of doing networking and knowing why it's important and knowing why you want to do it. So now we're going to switch to something so we can practice this skill. And in the corporate world, we have a phrase called an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch is a couple of sentences, very short, that you could tell someone in an elevator ride, right? Maybe 5 or 10 floors, that you could tell them in an inter-elevator ride about either yourself or a product or something else. But today we're going to concentrate on ourselves. We're going to figure out what type of elevator pitch we can prepare ahead of time before we ever go to a networking event, so that we know what we can say about ourselves, so that we can open a conversation with an elevator pitch. So as we start to talk about this, you'll see some slides, because there's going to be an exercise that you're doing starting in just a couple of minutes. So let's take a look at kind of the definition of elevator pitch. So a brief high energy presentation used by a company or individual to promote their products and themselves, right? And it happens in the corporate world all the time. When we develop something new and we're going to get ready to introduce it, we want to have that really attention-getting conversation about what that is, the opening line, right, the headline of the story. So you can see that companies will use them during different things, and sometimes they'll ask their employees to prepare an elevator pitch as an advertisement, right, so that everybody's telling the same story or starting the same story. And job hunters may also ask you to create an elevator pitch so that as you get out there and do interviews, you can begin your interviews with this type of information as well. So really, this is focusing on your strengths. So a great way to start this process, because I'll be right up front, this is not easy. I've had to create elevator pitches for myself multiple times, and even now, after all this practice, I still don't find it easy. But this, in the corporate world, sometimes they use a phrase, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. So that means don't let the whole task overwhelm you. Just kind of start it in little pieces. So on the screen are a great list of questions that you can ask yourself about, and it's a self-exercise, right? You don't have to share this with anybody else at this moment, but what types of things matter to you? Like, what do you feel very strongly about? What are you good at? And be honest with yourself. It's not a bad thing to be able to admit that you're good at certain things. Everybody has strengths. Everybody has opportunities to get better, but we're all good at different things. And the fact that we're not all the same is what makes the world a tremendous place and makes us all need each other. What do you have to offer? What do you like to do? What do you want to be remembered for? If you're really having trouble, you can ask a friend, how would they describe you? And then you can maybe use some of those things. So the exercise is to think of a dream job that you would like to learn more about, or that you would like to have one day, and you're going to create an elevator pitch that you could deliver, or that you could say to somebody who might be able to help you get that job. So if you want to be a network broadcaster one day, or if you want to be a nonprofit, the president of a nonprofit and run a nonprofit, you know, what is it that you could say to someone who has the power to help you get that job that would grab their attention and that they would want to know more about you to get you that job? So what we're going to do is you are going to work on an elevator pitch in your breakout groups. And so here's some of the things that you want to think about as you start to work on this. Of course, you want your name in there. You want people to remember who you are. So don't forget to put your name. Make sure that you tell them the job that you're interested in, and then some skills or interests or experience that you have that relate to that job or that would contribute to that job. And then something positive about you personally that leaves a good impression, that makes somebody remember you. And then a way to contact you or follow up with you. So I know that as we go to breakouts, you will have this information in your breakout, so you don't have to worry about writing it all down. And then there will be either a junior achievement staff member or a volunteer in your breakout groups so that you can ask questions and you can work on this, and you'll be able to talk to one another because you'll be able to put your cameras and microphones on, and you'll be able to work on this task. So I want to wish you good luck with your elevator pitches. Remember that you want to keep building your network at every stage, right? Right now in high school, as you go into college or you go into the working world, as you become a mom, someplace down the road maybe for some of you, always be building your network and know that even if you don't know right now when you'll need it, eventually you'll need it. And that happened to me this summer, and I had to really tap into my network of people, and a lot of people tapped into me too. Who did I know? How could I help people as well? And that was a great feeling, knowing that it was there, even though as I built all those relationships, I didn't know when I would need it. So it was great to meet all of you today. I wish you lots of luck. I hope you enjoy the next exercise, working on your elevator pitches. And so I will turn it back over to Christy.
Excellent. Kelly, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your expertise with us today. We really, really appreciate it. Again, Kelly Daly, JA board member. She's been involved with our Women's Future Leadership Forum as a speaker and a mentor for a long time. So thank you so much, Kelly. We really do appreciate it. And before we move on again to our breakout sessions, I also wanted to quickly introduce our staff and then our volunteer, our intern, our college intern, Oriana. So Oriana, I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot because I know that you are an excellent networker and speaker. Oriana, in addition to being one of our high school hero award winners from this year, she also co-led our virtual Hall of Fame that we had last week and did a phenomenal job. So Oriana, please, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself. And I know you've had experience in our Women's Future Leadership before. If you had any thoughts that you wanted to add about networking and building confidence, please feel free to share. Oriana.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Christy. I'm so glad to be here today with all of you. As Christy said, my name is Oriana, and I'm currently a freshman at Princeton University. I'm on the BSE track, meaning I'm going to study for Bachelor of Science in Engineering. As of right now, I'm looking into environmental engineering, but that's subject to change as I figure out what I want to do throughout my years. And Christy also pointed out that I was also a part of the Future Women's Leadership Conference that GA hosted. I participated in my sophomore year as one of my favorite memories of high school. And I distinctly remember an elevator pitch I wrote in my essay too. I remember sitting in the back table working with my mentor, and he really helped me build my confidence and build the skills to be able to have to create really meaningful conversation with people and also uplift myself. That's really important. Going off of that first impressions, you really want to show people that you're confident, you know how to speak well, you know how to advocate for yourself, because self-advocacy is so important. So that's why it's really important. So I'm really glad to be able to work with you guys with elevator pitches. And just adding on to network, you never know who's going to, help you down later on the line. It's always good to be nice to people as well. And just really just take into consideration that everyone comes to different walks of life, so be respectful. And, don't be afraid to, as once again, self-advocate and also reach out to other people because they can really, really be beneficial down the line. And just a quick story. As I said before, I attend Princeton University, and in order to get in, one of the things they recommend is having an interview. So I had to have an interview. And I was really nervous at first, but I remember I went over the things my mentor taught me during the Women's Leadership Conference. So I dressed professional so I could seem more confident, wore my heels. It was just a Dunkin' Donuts, but I still wanted to be have a really good first impression. So I dressed up a little bit, and then I walked in there, even though I was nervous, like feigned confidence. I walked there, tall, good posture. I walked in there, greeted her with a smile, shook hands when it was still safe to do so. And, just really open it up, communicate with her, asked her about her research, how she was doing, because as Kelly pointed out, they like talking about themselves too. So it's really important not just to show like you're, that you want to say things, give them the chance to talk to. So it's always great to ask them questions. And I remember leaving there, and then when I first got my letter saying I was accepted to Princeton, I remember her emailing me saying, you know, Oriana, I'm so excited. You were the one who I really wanted to get into everyone I interviewed. So it's really important to make sure that you have a really good impression in your interviews. And that's all I really want to add. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Oriana. Thank you so much. And I know, you know, I when you first, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Have there been times when you've been nervous going into situations and you just were able to find the confidence?
Yes. Even coming to the women's leadership conference my sophomore year, I was extremely nervous. I remember they had like little food and like water kind of organized around the tables, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat things, look around, like I don't know who to talk to first. And then my friend was kind of like, come on, Ariana, you can do this. And I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of nervous. But eventually, like everyone there was super friendly and nice. It was really easy to open up over time. So, you know, even if you're nervous at first, just think that it's just a feeling. It will go away eventually, and you'll gain the confidence over time and be able to express yourself in the way you need to. So yeah, it happens all the time. Everyone gets nervous. Even when I was helped moderate the first virtual one, I was nervous as well. But as I said before, it's just a temporary feeling. It will go away. And as long as you continue to advocate for yourself and like, put yourself out there, you will get comfortable eventually.
Oriana, thank you so much. Fantastic advice, both from you and from Ms. Kelly Daly. And again, before we go into breakout sessions, just a couple things. Having that experience really helps, and everybody gets nervous. Remember that energizing stance. Just your posture and walking in with that energizing stance helps you build confidence. And then have that pump you up song. We've all been to baseball games when the baseball player walks out. What's your walk-on song? What's that song that you can play in your head that really gets you excited? So great advice from both of our speakers.